Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles, bringing you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast packed with laughs by me, Ross Bolen, and my dear friend, Mr. Barrett Dudley. Barrett?
Yes.
We are once again separated by, actually several miles.
By an ocean. By an ocean of people and streets and cement and concrete.
Yeah.
Buildings, shops.
I'm in the safety of Bolen Media HQ.
26,400 minutes.
I love that song. Wait, isn't that used in The Office?
They do use that in The Office at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you dialing in? I'm hearing little ding ba da ding da da ding. What's going on over there?
I don't hear that.
Oh, maybe it's just me.
It sounds tight though.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Barrett's at the studio, Permanent Record Studios, and I'm here in Bolen Media HQ. So we're doing it remotely, out of an abundance of caution for the fact that I had to take a COVID test earlier this week because I thought I was exposed to somebody. They tested negative. In the meantime, I'm still waiting for my results and playing it safe. So here we are. So I appreciate y'all bearing with us if we have any sort of weird technical difficulties, or if Barrett starts having an acid flashback and experiencing some sort of weird beep, 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 which I'm going to say is what just happened. We got a fun show for y'all today. A lot of tidbits and such with Barrett. Some exciting and some hilarious things have taken place since we last met. We obviously had last week off, just the way scheduling worked for us and with our ads last week. That just ended up that way. But this week's going to be fun. So let's get right into stuff. But first, this episode of OCC is brought to you by Echelon. When it comes to getting or staying in shape, nothing feels as good as that feeling of accomplishment, of hitting your fitness goals and feeling great about yourself. Echelon can get you there. Echelon offers the next generation of connected fitness bikes, fitness mirrors, rowing machines, and their all-new Stride Smart treadmill. No matter what your favorite fitness activity, Echelon gives you a fun and challenging workout from the comfort of your home. Their world-class instructors will motivate you with thousands of daily live and on-demand studio-level classes. They're always available when you need them. And unlike their competitors, Echelon is affordable for everyone. And one membership lets up to 5 family members all work out at the same time. I got my mom one of these a few months back when we first got involved with Echelon as a sponsor of ours. Right now, you can try any Echelon fitness equipment at home for 30 days. Go to echelonfit.com/dragon. That's spelled ECHELON fit.com/dragon. To try any Echelon fitness equipment at home for 30 days. Dragon. Do it now. Do it now. Get to the Echelon.
Echelon, right. By the way, great price compared to some competitors out there.
Barrett.
I'll just say that.
And
there are still live classes. Still the whole, you get all that stuff. There are live classes. There's a bank of stuff of training material and You're not
trained for the sport of life, Barrett.
You're not losing out on anything, is what I'm saying there.
Barrett, it's Christmas. You go and get yourself something real nice from echelonfit.com/dragon. All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Tidbits and Such.
Yeah.
With Barrett.
Yeah, I mean, the whole episode today is basically Tidbits and Such with Barrett. But first, let's just start by saying that the reason that we're here and that we're separated is because we are holding up a whole goddamn industry. They're looking to oysters, clams, and cockles here. This right here, this is why we're separated, okay? This is why. And Ross, if you can't tell me your reason, if I can't figure out the logic behind your reason, you're fucking gone. You're fired.
You're out.
You're out. You're out. You're out. Okay? And I don't want to have to say it again, all right? Because we're professionals. We're professionals here. And that's all there is to it. And if I see it, if I see it happen again, you're out. You're gone. You're gone.
You're gone. And you're gone. And you over there. If you do it, you're gone. What an incredible rant from Tom Cruise.
Yeah, really. I mean, just like legendary shit. Almost more. Okay. There's a wrinkle to this story that has almost become more interesting to me.
What's that?
So, how George Clooney, he recently had the thing where he was like on the CBS morning show or whatever. He did this interview and he talked about how he's been cutting his hair with a Flowbee, and he did that interview, and then he did I think he was on Stern. I think he was on Howard Stern, and so he gave his comments on like this Tom Cruise happening as well.
Was he riding a Sibian when he did it?
He was not riding a Sibian when he did it.
Oh.
But so, like, what's up with Clooney suddenly being random celebrity that feels the need to like comment on a bunch of stuff and like do a bunch of random interviews, but like not actually be in any good movies. I don't want that for Clooney, man. You're married to like the baddest bitch on the planet. Just
Yeah.
do your Lake Como thing. You know, Brad Pitt's not out here. Leo's not out here giving their take on the Tom Cruise audio. And like I realized that the timing of it was like, you know, he was doing the interview like the day after the audio leaked, right? So
So they kind of had to ask him
of
about
course
it,
they were
or
gonna ask him about it, but it was a little surprising that he gave like a candid response about it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
no, that's something
are
you
you
would
not getting these? Are you not getting this weird like old man vibe from Clooney all of a sudden, where he just wants to like have his stories heard?
gossip. You don't want to be. Look, typically the move is if you're a celebrity and you asked about another celebrity's personal circumstances, especially one that I'm sure have some personal connections
Yeah,
with Clooney,
he's a
and
contemporary of his. You know what I mean?
then yeah, typically the move would be to downplay it or say, you would have to ask them about it, or not get into it, right? So that is surprising to me that he would kind of go there.
Yeah, and I mean, now to get into his like what he did say about it, he basically said that Tom was in the right. He had all the reason in the world to kind of blow up like that, but that he would have handled it a little bit differently and with a little bit less explosively.
Now, maybe are they very close?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
wouldn't think so. I don't think that Tom Cruise is close to anybody really in Hollywood.
Oh, that's fair. I forgot he was like pretty isolated in the Scientology thing.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
yeah.
he's just
So
generally a really weird cat.
he's a really weird cat. Obviously, I don't know. It was interesting to kind of hear what he was saying about how he is a Hollywood like demigod of sorts. You know what I mean? Like he carries a lot of weight and a lot of power at this point in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Um,
Like he's spending a lot of his own money to get this movie made.
yes. He's obviously incredibly wealthy and is willing to throw that money around to uh, to get these types of movies made still. And just what we know from the last several Mission Impossible movies is that he's absolutely bonkers about about doing things the right way, whether that's like performing his own stunts or giving his directors everything that they need, or whether it's like the professionalism that comes with being on a set during a pandemic. Like, so it wasn't really, I didn't think it was out of character to have him, kind of go Christian Bale here on a
Not
couple
at
of
all. But
production associates.
but the thing about these rants, and especially in the case of Tom Cruise, is that he is such an abnormal personality that when he starts to rant, he uses he says things that you're just like, oh my God. So I'm just going to read some of these. We are the gold standard. They're back in there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us.
Yeah.
Because they believe in what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every fucking studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you motherfuckers. Like that's an insane thing to yell out. I don't care what in a professional environment, you cannot yell at people. We are creating thousands of jobs. You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's just funny, bro. That's a hilarious. I don't want to ever see it again. Ever. Like, dude, chill out. And then he goes, and if you don't do it, you're fired. And if I see you do it again, you're fucking gone. And anyone on this crew that does it, that's it. And then he's like, and you too, points at like one guy. And then he goes, and you too, and you, if you ever do it again, that's it. Like he starts singling people out and it's hysterical. Like, no apologies. You can tell it to the people who are losing their fucking homes because your industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. Pay for their college education.
Dude, he's
just
looking
hilarious.
out. Tom is looking out for the little guys out there, man. The
Dude.
people that work on these movie sets as a job and are not making millions of dollars. This is just
No, I absolutely get it. I absolutely
job
get it
for them.
But it's his phrasing and like he's very disconnected from reality, from the real world. So when he even if he means well, his rant comes off as completely insane. He said, that's what I sleep with every night. The future of this fucking industry.
I mean,
so I'm sorry, but I'm beyond your apologies. I've told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out.
Yeah, he kind of slid off the rails there at the end. I like but I did like the quote about something about reasoning. He's like, if I can't, he's like, it's okay to have reason, but if I can't figure out your reason, like, I don't have to accept it, basically. Something weird like that. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, man, this guy, he feels like he is carrying the weight of the entire industry on his back, getting this new Mission Impossible movie made. And he's not totally wrong, which is kind of a
I mean,
crazy piece of it.
how is he not wrong?
How is he not wrong?
Yeah.
Because he this this set, his filming, I think, is probably the biggest and most expensive one going on right now.
So it is a
It's
test for,
it's the most
can we still do this?
right. And a lot of other productions that are in production right now are stuff that requires, I'm sure far less, like far fewer set pieces, far fewer people, way easier to like distance out. I mean, the Mission Impossibles, I mean, you can see photos from the set. Like these are movies that require hundreds of people on set at a time.
Yes, because they're
So
managing absolutely insane and dangerous stunts and explosives and crazy pyrotechnics.
Right. And like we just talked about with like the stunts and where they film on location, like this is wildly different than a Marvel movie, even, which is 75% on green screen in a studio box in Atlanta, right? Like they are out in the real world, trying to film in wherever they are in Europe or wherever. With a lot of people and a lot of protocol, and right, like you said, like it is kind of a test case to see if they can get back out there and film these massive budget movies with all sorts of crazy sets and giant budgets and lots of people.
Here's what he said, Barrett, because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and if I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. I trust you to be here. That's it. That's it, guys.
Here's the funny thing. Do you know what he was yelling at them about? You know what they were doing?
They were standing too close together, looking at a computer
screen. So
editing his work, I'm assuming, or trying to figure out something about his work.
That's the one thing that where I can kind of, where I have a bone to pick, is that it's not like he saw two people
pulling their masks off, sucking face in the corner,
or like doing karaoke at a bar later that evening or something like that. It's like two dudes masked up are just standing too close to each other, looking at a screen. So I don't know. Maybe he had seen it too many times. Maybe he just saw he clearly was worked up about it. So
yeah.
I think people must have just been like playing fast and loose on the set with these types of, with the whole social distancing,
and he had enough
thing, and he had enough.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Dustin Hoffman Hook performance when he's like, one of you does not belong, a stranger amongst the loyal, I will weed you out. And then he's like, no, not you, you. This Tom Cruise, if you do it, you're gone. And you. Oh, and you, if you do it, you're fired. Like, I love that he was like looking at people that he had known had done it before, or clearly not been adhering to the rules the way they were supposed to be adhered to. And so he was getting more and more worked up with each face that he looked at and pointed to. And it makes it all the better. Just like, look, we've all seen the Tom Cruise video of him jumping on the couch at Oprah's, which in hindsight, if you add another meme to that one, it gets very racist very quickly. I'm referring to the Chappelle Show couch meme. And but he came off as a total psycho on that. And we've all watched the documentaries on Scientology, and he comes off as a total psycho. So when you get a rant out of him and then it has some logic to it, it's even double the fun. Like, this is a rant where this is for the right, at least for the right reasons, Barrett, because it is something we all should respect, and that you and I are respecting and carrying the whole fucking podcast industry on our backs. And they're out there fucking using our podcast for the industry to make fucking podcasts, Barrett. They're counting on us.
We're the shining example. I mean, that's what we go to sleep with every night. It's the weight of this industry on our backs. So.
That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm doing today. I'm talking to Spotify. I'm talking to Joe Rogan.
You're talking to everybody every night. All the ad agencies, all the studios.
Yeah. If we have to shut down, it's going to cost people their fucking jobs, their homes, their family. That's what's happening all the way down the line. And I care about you guys. But if you're not going to help me, you're gone. Okay. Do you see that stick? How many meters is that? When people are standing around a fucking computer and hanging out around here, what are you doing? Audio ends. Brilliant. Thank you, Tom, for another magical Hollywood moment. Barrett is
Yes.
next on the docket.
Okay, next on the docket. So let's actually, all right. Let's first talk about Mandalorian and some of the and some of the big reveals, and we'll use that to segue into this overwhelming amount of Disney announcements that they dropped at the D23 investor meeting last week.
I think week before last, end of the week before last.
Maybe,
but like I said, we didn't get to talk last week.
10 or so days ago.
Yeah, something we have to discuss.
Because there's a lot going on. But a lot of those announcements kind of piggyback off of what happens at the end of Mandalorian. So I want to talk about Mando. Now you've only watched a couple of episodes, but this will be.
I have, but I'm obviously very overexposed to social media. I've experienced several big spoilers. I'm completely willing to hear about them. And here's another thing: I'm in the camp of people who argues that this show cannot be truly spoiled. It is an enjoyable. I'm not there to be thrown by some big fucking twist. I'm there because the ride is just pure fun week in and week out. Being a couple few into this season, I can't remember if I watched 3 last night. I was a little toasty. This every episode, man. But when it ends, I'm like, that was dope. Again, they're really doing it. Like, is it simple? Yes. Is it a little silly sometimes? Absolutely. But is it fun as hell every episode, dude? In my experience so far, yes.
So we'll just jump to the last 2 episodes here because there are 8 total this season. Like we just said, spoilers will ensue here. So if
you don't want to hear Mando spoilers, if you're trying to watch the rest of it, then bounce to I'm gonna guess 15 minutes from now, probably.
Obviously, one of the things that we are keeping track of here with Mandalorian on this podcast is whether or not we'll ever see Pedro Pascal's face, whether he will ever get some screen time, whether we'll see that handsome mug of his. And episode 7, which features some incredible set pieces, we get the return.
Penultimate.
We get the penultimate episode. We get the return of Bill Burr as his character, where he's basically just doing Bill Burr stand up, but as a Star Wars kind of bad guy / soldier man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and we get to a scene where they are on a mission to kind of get the coordinates for Big Bad Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon. And they need to go into this, this Empire base. And Bill Burr, he can't go to the computer screen to log in because he'll be recognized. It'll flag him. He's in the system. He can't do that. So it has to be Mando. And this goes against everything he stands for, but he needs these coordinates because he's got to get to Grogu, right? So we finally get him popping top, removing the helmet, and what follows is just an incredible action sequence. And I mean, we were like in the Discord and on Twitter, we were talking about how this episode like rivaled some Game of Thrones episodes in its writing and its tension and its reveals and its like gravity. Like it was just really, really phenomenal to watch and see. We get several minutes of Pedro's face. There's it's kind of a crazy shootout to get out of there. And I mean, like I was giddy on the couch, just smiling from ear to ear, watching Pedro like get to play without the helmet. It's a really phenomenal episode that for me took Mandalorian to kind of
to
a new level.
Now, let me jump in right there. This is something that I am incredibly impressed by. Not that it should be all that shocking because it is a Disney product, and Disney has a lot of success stories with some of their big franchises, obviously. But we all saw this show as kind of this fun Western, this week-to-week ride, this episodic adventure thing. And like I said, didn't carry a ton of weight, didn't feel like you're going to lose a main character. And they weren't going to rip your heart out or anything like Game of Thrones. It wasn't going to be something that had a ton of drama. Well, they elevated it. And they've made it more than just, it almost felt like a kid show, sort of a kid show in some ways last season, first season.
Yep.
And it's really become and here's how I know. I haven't even seen all the episodes. Obviously, I have 5 or 6 left. And the response I saw on social media for 7 and 8 rivaled big moments on things like Thrones,
right?
Where everyone was losing their shit. Barrett, I'm a goddamn master of avoiding spoilers at this point. I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, there.
And
If you,
even I was like, oh, well, that's unavoidable, to the point that I was not upset, honestly, because
yeah,
it's Mando and it's those moments
yeah.
are big enough that they need to be talked about immediately. That's on me for not being caught up. And I, again, now I'm looking forward to those moments more than I feel like they've been ruined for me. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
sick. I can't wait to watch that. Because this isn't like a show that I've held in the esteem where it necessarily could be ruined for me. That might change when I've seen this whole season.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to love these characters and shit too.
So we'll jump here to the finale and the episode 8. We get in a sticky situation with Moff Gideon. There's these crazy robot baddies called the Dark Troopers. It's not looking good for our crew. And lo and behold, one X-wing shows up at this battle cruiser. It's a Jedi. There's a lightsaber. It's a hooded figure. He's cutting everybody down. And then this big reveal at the end of the episode, as it's been spoiled for you already, is that it's Luke Skywalker.
Can I tell you how it got spoiled for me? Because it's interesting.
Okay.
The actor who plays Luke Skywalker,
Mark Hamill, yes.
he tweeted something.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
And it wasn't a full-blown spoiler.
No,
but it was, I'm a very smart man. I'm a very high IQ, Barrett, one of the highest IQs in the world. Many people are saying this. And I immediately knew, oh my God, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker is clearly in the finale. And then I wasn't angry. I was like, fuck yes, I can't wait to get to that.
So this was huge for a lot of reasons. It's obviously
this is a very big move, Barrett.
It obviously like tickles everybody's, desire for that type of like big reveal, and it connects to the nostalgia and the love of the original trilogy.
The fact that they even went there.
And it serves as also like it's also even more than that, it raises massive questions about where the show goes for season 3, because this season spends a lot of time developing the relationship between Grogu and Mando as a father-son thing. There's like this real bond between them, and what was kind of just like a mission for Mando is now really like he's
a kinship.
Yeah, is this real familial kinship where he is devoted to this child and is going to go to any lengths to save it. It's not just about fulfilling the mission anymore.
Right.
And Luke showing up to take away Grogu to train him as a Jedi really leaves this massive question mark about what next season can be or will be. Like is it going to be this kind of like 2 storyline thing where we're getting Grogu on in some of the episodes and Mando's continuing adventures on the other? I don't know. And
it could overcomplicate things. You got a very simple thing going.
That's a little daunting. But also at the same time exciting.
Well, and I got to say this. I think through 2 full seasons,
yep,
based on the reactions I'm seeing, these folks have earned our trust.
They have. This has been some really wonderful Star Wars product, but now I'm going to start the complaining, because while this was a lot of fun and really exciting,
hate.
One of the things that I loved about Mandalorian was that it lived in this universe that I was familiar with, but didn't have to connect everything together. Like, I knew that it was playing into like some stuff from the Clone Wars animated series. And like, if you were big on Star Wars and you knew all the canon, there were a lot of little Easter eggs and a lot of little connections. And you had those sinewy synapses like connecting for you. And it was all really cool, but you kind of had to be in the know on some of that stuff. I just kind of knew that was happening and appreciated it.
You didn't need those things, Barrett. I just want to say I didn't know any of them.
I didn't need them, and I was loving that they were able to tell like this new and different story, one that I wasn't familiar with. And like, even though there's like this little thing that reminds me of Yoda, there's no connection. And so it really, really bugs me that everything they do has to connect back to this the quote unquote Skywalker saga in some way, shape, or form. It's such a cop out.
But let me say,
and it's so shallow and so transparent that it's simply to get like like Twitter buzzing, right?
But
Like,
let me
oh
tell
my,
you,
like it's straight up for that head explosion reaction of like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker, the one
now
big character that we all know and love and are so obsessed with because of the original trilogy and then the other trilogies. And it's like, man, look, you guys blew the other trilogies because you kept so tightly tied because you had to be tied to this Skywalker saga because you couldn't try something new. You didn't want to tell a different story. It all had to come back around to this like one thing that people knew and loved from the 1970s. And I'm tired of that, man. Like I loved Mando because it didn't have to jump into
yeah,
that
but
same
Barrett,
shit.
what if it's just for like this that if it's just what you were saying and it's only the hype machine and it's not going to tie in some Luke Skywalker storyline, if I had to guess, that's unlikely that they over muddy and complicate the show by going with dual storylines. I would guess we get a time jump
Okay.
and something like that where he's back. I don't think they're pulling Mark Hamill in for 2 seasons of training Baby Yoda in the fucking jungle or
Well,
whatever.
I mean, if season 3 has any more of Mark Hamill young CGI face, like I truly might be out. I'm not like,
That's what I'm telling you.
come
I
on,
don't
man.
think that's happening,
You're
bro.
gonna get
I
the
do not
70.
think
You're
that's
gonna
going to happen.
bring his ass back so you can CGI up his face for an
So
entire
let me ask you
season. Like, I'm
this.
not in on that. I'm
Let me
not
ask
in
you
for that.
this. If it was just for this stunt,
Yeah.
and it does keep in mind, Barrett, this is a very easy loophole for them to get Baby Yoda, Grogu, excuse me, all the powers he needs and the training very quickly. Like maybe we even get one stupid montage, but I don't even think we're going to get that. I think they're just going to bring him back and he's going to be a fully trained Jedi because here's the thing about that that's cool. Then you don't know what he earned and learned. So his powers are still mysterious to us and we get to see him use them for the first time.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do the time hop. You got exactly what you needed out of the Luke Skywalker cameo. Everyone in the world was talking about it. I even knew it happened before it happened because I was a genius or before I'd seen it and with a very high IQ. And I'm super stoked to watch it. I think that's going to end up being the case and that you will be okay. I get that it's fucking annoying, but frankly, I didn't get that turned off by all these other Star Wars because I never liked Star Wars for the storytelling. It was about the ride and having fun with it, and the
Right.
characters being cool and funny, and the cool space fighting and the lightsabers. Like I thought George Lucas was a terrible storyteller, and even with the OGs that I love, the
Hmm.
first three, and by the first three I mean the second three, whatever, the ones that came out when we were little kids and before we were alive,
Yeah.
and then there was the three that came out when we were little kids. Those sucked ass, even though they had some cool stuff with the double-sided lightsaber, which really just made for a lot of dildo jokes. And then, what movie is that that ends with a double-sided dildo thing that scarred me for life?
Requiem for a Dream, right?
Thank you, Barrett.
Yeah.
Thank you. Requiem for a Dream. But these new ones, man, the last few years, the ones that got all these Star Wars fanatics all upset. Listen, I had no qualms with any of these movies. A couple of them I liked just a little bit. A couple of them I was like, man, that was dope. Will I ever watch them again? I don't know. Maybe if they're on HBO at some point, streaming or whatever, like I'll
Yeah.
catch one here or there. But I had no problem with what they did. It's not like they bombed the franchise for me. And if you're going to compare, hey, fam, go back and watch those three that they put out when you and me were little kids.
Hmm.
Those are bad movies. Jar Jar Binks is a bad character. What they did with the recent ones wasn't maybe as good as some people wanted them to be, but it wasn't trash. That shit with Jar Jar was trash.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
cool with Star Wars, man. I think these people are doing a very, very, very good job with this franchise. The fact that I'm only a few in, and Barrett, this is one I had trouble getting back into because I knew or I thought the weight of it wasn't. I didn't think there'd be much there.
Hmm.
I thought it was just going to be a fun ride, so I could kind of put it off till I needed it. Now that I know that it was enough to get this many people's attention and this much buzz on social, and that I know they pulled off enough big moments for there to be even more for me to look forward to than just the regular adventure.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited to watch the show again.
Well, another thing that happens there at the end of the finale is that Grogu, is saying goodbye to Mando and wants to see that gorgeous mug, and Mando obliges and takes the helmet off again. So, on a positive note, the last two episodes we get Pedro face, and so that is a good signal that even though it's probably not going to be every episode going forward, they are willing and they will let him work with no helmet here and there. And I expect that gets
They'll find.
that they get a little bit more freewheeling with that, and we get it a little bit more often moving forward as well.
Let me say about the one that I have, one of my favorite that I've seen so far, and it was one of the first two of season two. The one where we meet our the dude who's got the Mandalorian armor, but he's not a Mandalorian.
Timmy Oliphant, man, yeah.
Oliphant takes our boy on the mission to kill the giant worm.
Yeah.
That was just a fucking ride.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode.
Was dope. And one of the things I realized about Star Wars is now, dude, they have the technology to build him. No, but they have the technology to make things that when we were young and in the 90s and early 80s and 70s that looked so stupid when you did them, technology, CGI, and the little models that they had to use. Dude, we've got guys flying on jetpacks.
Oh, yeah.
To land on the side of mountains that giant worms are popping out of. And at no point do you go, God, this looks silly. You're like, this is dope.
Yeah, no, they threw the bag at that episode for sure.
They really threw the bag at that moment. I remember thinking to myself, man, that's a lot of CGI. That's expensive. But it looked good. And it was the type of moment that I'm like, this is what's cool about this product. And this is what is even more impactful about the Luke Skywalker cameo to me. They just showed that that's where they're putting this. Like, it's on a pedestal. They brought a fucking movie character, one of the most beloved movie characters of all time, in for a cameo on a television show. That is wild as hell. They're giving this thing all of the ammo it needs to be Star Wars big time. And it's almost like getting like one movie a year in the form of a season.
Well, Ross, excellent moment for a segue, because you're going to be getting a lot more than that. Disney Plus, while it is putting out TV shows, has 86 million subscribers and expects to have 260 by fiscal year 2024. And you are getting more than you can handle from the Star Wars universe, and then an overwhelming amount of other stuff from Hulu and FX and National Geographic and everything else on top of that. Let's start with the Star Wars stuff, because this is where, you know, I'm mentioning how I personally find it annoying that nobody can tell an original Star Wars story. They won't let you do that. You have to tie in Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, or somebody that we all know from the original trilogy, or else you're canceled. So we are getting a Boba Fett spinoff. We are getting a Cassian Andor spinoff. He's the one from Rogue One, you'll remember. We are getting the Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff. You mentioned the terrible movies. Well, Ewan McGregor's back to play Obi, and guess who else they're bringing back to play Darth Vader? That's right, Hayden Christensen. We are getting we're getting an animated series called The Bad Batch. There's a droid series called A Droid Story. Justin Simeon, the creator of Dear White People, is making a Lando spinoff series. The creator of Russian Doll, Leslie Headland, she's getting one called The Acolyte, which is a mystery thriller about the emerging dark side set in the High Republic era. Taika Waititi, who directed some Mando episodes and voiced the droid in season 1, he's getting a movie. Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, she's getting one. That one's called Rogue Squadron. It's about the rebel.
You get a movie, and
rebel
you get
fighters.
A movie. You get a movie.
There's one coming here. Let's see which one. One of them has Tony Gilroy, which that's the Cassian Andor one. Tony Gilroy did the first 2 Bourne movies, and the Cassian Andor one, which has the actor's name, Diego Luna. Yeah, that's it. From Narcos and some other stuff.
You know, my ass wasn't going to.
Tony Gilroy. So he did. You know, he's great at spy stuff. So that one could be exciting. But man, they're going full on Marvel with the Star Wars. It's just they're
all in.
They're all in. They're all in. And it's I think it's all for. I don't think it is all for this Disney Plus platform, which we talked about a few months ago. That this is their bright new shining star. This is the baby now. They are driving subscriptions, and they have subscriptions, and they are dominating the landscape, and they are here for global takeover. Netflix and HBO Max eat your heart out, basically.
Now, we talked about, excuse me, Barrett. The first shoe to drop was obviously Warner, and we wondered what would follow suit and how those would unfold. And this is the biggest one that we've seen. This is Disney Plus saying that all this stuff is going to be available on their platform.
Yeah, now they did not they did not go full Warner. The stuff is still going to debut in theaters first.
But how long is the gap?
I'm not sure.
Because if it's a week, nobody cares.
I
Nobody
don't
cares.
think it's a week, but it might only be a month.
Let me look.
Yeah, it's honestly really hard to find all the nitty gritty details here because anything that you're going to pull up about this, it's such a massive information dump. Like I just spent 5 minutes telling you about the Star Wars stuff, and I didn't even mention that Chris Evans is voicing Buzz Lightyear in a new series. I didn't even mention that uh that Handmaid's Tale is coming back for season 4 in 2021 and also got renewed for a 5th season. I didn't mention that Atlanta got picked back up and that they renewed It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for 4 more seasons. I didn't mention like Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki and all the Marvel shit. I didn't mention the new Ariel movie. There's a Chip and Dale live animated slash something half. Akiva Schaffer's directing. Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. Hope you're doing well in rehab, bud. Get better. They're voicing Chip and Dale. It's they own everything, man. They own Hulu. They own FX. They own Fox,
by the way,
they own ESPN. They own everything you like. It's under the Disney Plus umbrella at this point.
Yo, you mentioned Mulaney. I thought it was funny because a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, John Mulaney, he does like kids shows." Mulaney's a comedian, man. Like 99% of comedians are recovering addicts or actively addicted to something. So it's like, yo, that was not. He's been in rehab and in recovery before. So yeah, shouts to John Mulaney and best of luck on the journey back.
It is. We can talk about that for a quick second. It is surprising because Mulaney comes off even in his sets
squeaky clean,
as pretty clean.
But he's got that edge to him.
He does not rely on like dirty jokes. Really, he doesn't curse a lot, but he has been open about his addiction issues in his stand-up sets before. So he's certainly acknowledged it.
But some people only know him from his more.
But his image is so. His what?
Like since he blew up more, he's done some things that were even cleaner that he wasn't talking about his past addiction.
Right.
And he hosted also one of those shows recently. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
He looks very young and he looks very like buttoned up and he wears suits to do stand up and he's got the kind of quirky.
He doesn't look like a fuck up.
Quirky voice. And so yes, it is kind of jarring to be like, oh, this dude was blown down like crazy in the pandemic.
Yeah, but you know how people with cocaine do, man. Like there's a lot of these clean cut people who could keep their shit together and that do too much blow and that one day are like, oh fuck, I got to go to rehab.
Well, so that I thought what was interesting about it is that just a few days before this news dropped, which I think was either yesterday or the day before, I was just flipping through channels late night and saw him do a little Zoom interview on Kimmel, and something was a little off. Like he just kind of he looked a little out of sorts, and he was talking about Big Mouth, where he voices one of the main characters.
Yeah,
and he kind of just like made some offhand remarks about how he liked voiceover work because it was like easy and not hard and kind of like a joke of a job almost. And he was just like a little like he kind of salted voiceover work and like what they were doing on Big Mouth. And he was not his like normal kind of chipper, cheery self about the work that he was doing.
I wonder if that in any way impacted his decision to go to rehab. Like somebody was like, dude, you choked that interview.
So he also mentioned in this Kimmel interview how like the lack of structure in the pandemic had been really bad for him. So much so that he took a writer's job in the staff room on Late Night with Seth Meyers.
So he had some structure?
So he had some structure, yes. Because obviously this is not a guy that needs to be a staff writer on a late night
no, he's quite wealthy now.
Talk show. So it just, the pandemic fucked up a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And for somebody like Mulaney, who was used to like, a lot of routine and probably a lot of meetings and a lot of irons in the fire, and to suddenly have nothing to do,
that'll get you there.
Really easy to fall back into drinking and your whatever your vice may be.
Cocaina. We talked
Yeah.
on the Ross Bolen podcast about this a little bit today in relation to John Mulaney because obviously it's somewhere that show we focus a little more on mental health. Um, and it's 2020 for people with mental health issues and with substance abuse and addiction problems was brutal, and I don't think people realize the circumstances. Obviously, this year was brutal for everybody, but that's why, Barrett, you just spoke to it. A lot of these people rely on AA meetings, NA meetings, meetings that often are crowded, and you're sitting right next to somebody. They've obviously had to make those much smaller. There's less availability. Some people, when you get sick, you obviously can't go. A lot of people have been sick. It's just difficult circumstances for people who really, really, really rely on a militaristic structure almost to their lives to maintain their productivity and to be able to make their lives manageable. A lot of people have backslid, a lot of people have relapsed, and a lot of people with mental health issues are experiencing a much deeper, darker version of them than they ever have in the past. So just make sure you're there for one another going into this holiday season. And if you ever need somebody to talk to, never hesitate to holler at me or Barrett on social. If we can and we see you, we will respond to you. So we appreciate y'all for listening. And yeah, just wanted to get that in there. Anyway, continue, sir.
So I'm down here looking. It looks like for two of the big we're talking about the movies. Black Widow still coming out in theaters May 7th, 2021. Marvel has also wrapped production on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That is still slated to come out in theaters July 9th, 2021. Now, there is some other stuff that they have essentially turned Disney, among the thousand other things that they own, also owns, let's see, I think it's Fox Searchlight, as
Okay.
well as they own a couple of film studios that are kind of known for putting out, okay, let's see, Searchlight and 20th Century Studios, which kind of put out these little indie Oscar-y films. Both of those are going to be making and launching films straight to Hulu. So,
Oh, wow.
in their kind of expanding reach, Hulu is being, I mean, it already was, but they are solidifying that kind of distinction that Hulu is like the adult fare and Disney Plus is like the PG fare.
Gotcha.
So,
This is
we're
wild. I know you read some of it, but Disney owns ABC, ESPN, Touchstone Pictures, Marvel, Lucasfilm, A&E, they're a 50% equity holding with the Hearst Corporation. The History Channel, same setup with the Hearst Corporation. Lifetime, same setup with the Hearst Corporation. Pixar, Hollywood Records, they have a 10% stake in Vice Media, and they own Core Publishing.
yeah.
Obviously, the Disney Channel, television stores, Disney radio stations, Disney parks, Disneyland Resort, Disneyland Paris, Disney Cruise Line. I mean, they own a lot of stuff.
A few of the things coming to Hulu. There's a Kate McKinnon vehicle where she's playing Elizabeth Holmes called The Dropout. There is a comedy with Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. Here's a David E. Kelly mystery, Nine Perfect Strangers, and you'll never believe the female lead here. You'll never believe who it is.
Whomst.
It's Nicole Kidman. Shocker.
Wow, dude, this is wild. Did you see the meme I put up earlier on the OCC Instagram story?
Which one?
Let me read it real quick. It says it's a tweet from @JanetForklift on Twitter. Says if this woman is at a PTA meeting, someone's about to die. And it's a photo of her from Big Little Lies next to a photo of her from The Undoing or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the stuff that FX is putting out, FX is increasingly becoming more of that FX on Hulu brand.
Right.
There's a bunch of stuff that was already announced. There's like a Taika Waititi comedy. There's a new American Horror Story. BJ Novak has an anthology series coming out. But the big one here is that Noah Hawley, the guy that is behind the Fargo TV series, is making a TV series based on the Alien franchise with the support of Ridley Scott that will be set, quote, not too far in the future here on Earth. Now there was obviously the HBO Max Ridley Scott series Raised by Wolves. This one, however, you start mentioning Alien, and then I start thinking about Prometheus, and I get way more hooked.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something to look forward to.
I just watched that again this week, Barrett, by the way.
Prometheus?
Yeah, still really good.
Yeah, I'm due for a rewatch. All in all, man, I won't continue to just read the stuff that's coming because the list is so freaking long.
It's
But
truly obnoxious.
it's just
Not you reading it,
no,
the list's length.
yeah. The big headline here is that Disney is really dominating.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising to me. And it's also something I'm extremely excited about because the more premium TV and movies there are, the better you and I are, and the better everybody is who loves this stuff. It's a place that I wanted to see more competition. It kind of got to this place where it was like Netflix, and now everybody's sort of starting to catch up. We've got HBO Max, we've got Disney Plus with severely bolstered content offerings. I mean, dude, HBO Max, buy it. This is the thing about all these now. You could go with any one, and you'd never run out of stuff. If you just had HBO Max, if you just had Disney Plus, if you just had Netflix, any one of those three at this point, and Amazon Prime, any one of those four, really, you have an endless amount of content that you couldn't
Hmm.
finish if you spent the rest of your goddamn life watching. So the fact that we have, four really, really, really solid platforms offering us top of the line content that's getting nominated for Emmys and bringing us massive budget, full motion pictures at this point,
Hmm.
in conjunction with the theaters and in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, it's kind of it's one of the things that if you're looking for silver linings, I'm all about this shit. Like the movies are dope, dude. I'm still gonna find reasons to go back when it's safe for sure. But the more premium content I have accessible from my home, the happier I'm gonna be. So bring it all on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the loser here with all of the recent announcements kind of feels like Netflix.
Yes, it is. Look, they did a really good job. Netflix had their time in the spotlight for
And I mean,
so many years where
they
it
they,
wasn't close.
they lose The Office in 2 weeks, which is
That's a big blow.
which is a massive blow to them.
That's a big blow. And then Barrett, what they started doing, and you and I noticed this, they went much more for the typical network approach. They were throwing shit at the wall. They were putting out every
Yep.
single TV show and movie they could possibly think of. I think if you were getting rejected at Netflix in 2018, 2019, whatever you wrote sucked because they made everything
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
I mean, they were putting out Santa Clara Diet with fucking what's her name, Drew Barrymore, like the most random shit. They're signing Adam Sandler to $400 million deals or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
and Barrett, when you lose a focus on quality, like you give other companies an opportunity to catch up. And HBO was already there with the quality. What did they need to add? Quantity. So now they've caught up. It wasn't that hard. Disney Plus was man, Disney already had the catalog. They
Disney
just
already
needed the
had the
platform
catalog. Yeah.
and then they needed to make it accessible to everybody and they needed to give people reasons to come. And nobody's ever going to have a better reason than what they just released. That's a list that's so long we literally won't even read it all. It was so nobody could watch it all because it's impossible. It's the golden age of entertainment at this point. It's not even the golden age of TV anymore. Like we've talked about for the past several years on this podcast, that we've been blessed with more premium prestige, if you will, TV than any other generation or decade. And it's really 2 decades spanning back to The Sopranos really kicked it off, that we're now covering on Patreon every week. And you should do that with us on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. But this streaming steps that have taken place over the last couple months and that will continue to happen as other streaming services continue to try to catch up with these four, like Hulu, which is also right up there, man. It's just got the commercials, so it bugs me out. I still can't figure out how to get rid of the commercials, man.
Well, okay. This is for everybody, including myself. But you can bundle Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu without commercials for like $18.
What? So where do I go to do that?
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a
Okay.
link later.
The
But
rest of you
yes,
are screwed.
but
We'll
but
put it in the
Hulu, but
cord.
that's that. I mean that's what Hulu is to me. What really elevates Disney Plus to being a true player, because while I really love The Mandalorian, I just got through saying that you're not going to find me like championing every single one of these new Star Wars series. Like I don't really
No.
care. Like I would love for one of them to be great and for one of them to do something unique and different and
You
adult.
know,
But
one
I
of them
know that's
will.
but I don't know,
One,
man.
one of them.
I do not trust Kathleen Kennedy and the people that have their hands on Star Wars to actually let something great and cool happen.
So
And
you're
while
genuinely worried about Mando, even?
I'm worried about I am worried about
Okay.
Mandalorian.
Okay.
I know it
I'm
was a
gonna
cool
need to see the ending for
I
myself
know
to
it was
know
a cool
how heavy it
cameo,
was.
and obviously I will wait to make that judgment. I got to see some season 3, but the fact that they had to tie in Skywalker Saga really does alarm me.
Okay.
And
So you don't trust her with all this other shit either, obviously.
no, not really.
Okay.
I think, the fact that the Rogue One spin-off movie, which again they had to tie into Skywalker Saga there at the end of the film, was pretty fun and a little bit grittier, and I liked that. So Tony Gilroy's connection to that series is promising, but at the same time, you kind of know that, like, look, it's definitely not going to be any more than PG-13, basically, content wise.
They got to get the kids in there. Yeah.
So it's just it's like the ceiling is a little lower for the Disney Plus and specifically the Star Wars shows.
So the ability to bundle it with Hulu, with ESPN, these are
But
big
the
selling
fact,
points for you.
right, the fact that they also have Hulu where they can really
See, so
direct
they
like
kind of got that
all the
covered.
other dope shit is very, very
They
exciting and
kind of got
fun.
that shit covered for us. It's
Yeah,
like, because I'm
and
in the boat with you. I don't necessarily give a shit about these 15 Star Wars franchises they're going to launch. Now, if
yeah,
one catches fire, I'm in. But
yeah, but this
I
Noah
I
Hawley
do
alien
love,
thing, like tell me more about that, right?
yeah, and
And
I'm
like,
also, I don't have ESPN Plus or whatever it's called. So like the
yeah,
fact that I
yeah,
can bundle that and be paying barely more than I'm already
right,
paying
yeah,
more than that would cost for Hulu and Disney Plus separately right
exactly,
now. So that
exactly.
makes no sense.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about some of our favorite shows next week, kind of do our best of
Yes,
in our top list, and like, there will be several shows from FX or FX / Hulu or FX
they
on
come
Hulu
up
that
absolutely.
that come up and make my top 10. So that does not seem to be slowing down, and I'll be interested to look back and see what, if anything, from Netflix even made it. And I'm thinking about what I'm currently watching on Netflix right now, and it's like Great British Baking Show and Schitt's Creek.
Yeah,
It's not some world beating, game changing drama.
right.
So just kind of, I don't know. As
Fargo.
the Fargo's on Hulu.
I mean, I'm sorry, not Fargo. Ozark is what I
Yeah,
meant.
right, right.
That's their
Um,
that's their gritty drama that they've got right now that I'm in for. But even that's not like, it's not, you know, it's a B plus. It's a B
right.
minus. It's good. It's not great.
An almost not even newsworthy piece of the D23 investor announcements was that the price of Disney Plus will go up $1 to $7.99 instead of $6.99.
Yeah, nobody cares. Netflix is like
$15, $16 now.
15.99. They just raised it up again. Yeah.
So yeah, as we as we kind of start packaging up all of these things together and we look over at our bottom line and start seeing that cable like price tag, it's like at some point we will start making decisions to
About which to
drop
cut.
this or cut that. And right now, like, if you told me I had to go into 2021 and I had to cut something that I have,
Netflix.
it's probably Netflix. I would have to go. I think I would have to do a deep dive into what is currently on Prime and what is currently on Netflix and what they're both slated to release in 2021 before I made that decision.
See, but I'm never canceling Prime because it gives me the shipping shit too.
Right, right.
And I
I
use
mean,
it
that's
all
the
year,
thing,
every
is
week.
that Prime is
So I don't think you can
kind
argue
of kind of
Prime's a
slides in
possibility.
kind of slides under the garage door here, right? Because it's like, well, I I consider my Prime membership just for the free super fast Amazon
So,
shipping.
Barry, okay. So if you've got those
TV
four,
is just a bonus.
if you've got Amazon Prime, if you've got Netflix, if you've got HBO Max, and you've got Disney Plus bundled with Hulu and ESPN Plus,
Yeah.
what is that price tag around? I'm in my brain and I'm terrible at math. I want to say like $80, $90.
So it's HBO,
HBO
Netflix,
Max,
Prime, and the big Disney bundle.
yes.
That is like 10. That's probably like $60-ish with tax, 60 to 65
Okay,
bucks with
let's say
tax.
between $60 and $75, somewhere in there.
But that obviously does not include your internet connection.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying, I don't think I'm at the point yet where that I will ever reach the point, frankly, where any of those four are being cut. Now, granted, I'm in a particular circumstance where my job revolves around being able
Yeah.
to consume as much media as possible. But from just a basic financial, what I pay for entertainment, and I'm comparing it to my cable bill and yada, 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 I think those four are all safe forever. And I'll even throw Netflix in there. And here's why, because it's kind of just like, look, man, if I've got nothing in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
nothing that I'm thinking I want to watch, I know I can go to Netflix and click some dumb shit and be cool off the rip. I'm not going to have to look very far. It's going to have something right there in there that's just like, and I'll watch old episodes of this or whatever the fuck. And Netflix is kind of like that OG. It has a special place in my heart. I don't think I could ever let it go.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you're talking about the price tag though. And so like, I know you still have some type of Google Fiber and Google Fiber TV or whatever, right?
It's chaos. Yeah.
So like, so I don't know what your total number is, but for me, I just have all of those platforms that you just named, plus my internet connection, which is around 35 bucks a month. So I'm at 100 with internet and the streaming platforms, but then I have YouTube TV as well, which is another 70. So suddenly I'm at 170, which is basically the price that we were all paying for cable plus internet plus HBO, right? Like that's in that ballpark. Now, I think the content
cable sucked.
Right. And I think the content offering is a lot better, and I'm getting a ton of badass stuff in addition to all the regular TV that I can handle in my live
But
sports and all that.
You're nearing the place of like, okay,
But
we're getting back to the cable price.
And there's definitely not any really room. Like I'm not adding another 5 for Peacock, right? Like I'm not adding another 5 for.
Oh, hell nah, bro. Nah, none of that. None of that. We're done with all that little baby shit. They got to stop all that. These companies that are pumping out the little baby ones that are trying to make us sign up for this shit to be able to watch like Yellowstone, they got to stop.
CBS All Access.
I can't take it anymore. Nobody even knows what y'all
Peacock.
are talking
about.
Yeah.
So
I feel you, dude. It's just that like those particular ones, I struggle with like what I would cut. Because they all kind of bring something to the table. But honestly, when's the last time we covered a Netflix show? Like you said, it's like, I don't even know. Ozark, we talked about some, but they haven't brought something to the table that everybody was in on that wasn't a documentary.
Right.
Might be their saving grace. It's like, I don't want to miss out on the next hot doc.
Yeah.
In a long time. So you're not wrong on that. Any other tidbits and such, sir?
No, that is it. That we were mentioning Hulu. There's a new Christmas movie starring Kristen Stewart on Hulu. It's called Happiest Season. It also has Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
It's a real tearjerker. It is. You will have to hold back the cries and the sobs at numerous moments of that.
Oh, I don't hold them back, Barrett. I let the tears flow.
But it's not a bad entry into the Christmas au revoir, if you will. So that's one that I wanted to throw out for family viewing over the next week while you're laying around the house getting cozy, opening presents and sipping on that nog.
Sip on that nog, baby. Barrett and I, like we said, going to come back next week, and we're going to do our best of 2020, our list of our favorite TV shows and movies from the year from hell. Some of the things that got us through this hellacious calendar year. So got that to look forward to. Very excited for it. Y'all have a great and Merry Christmas. That will do it for today's episode of OCC, produced by Mike Moody Garcia of Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. Huge thanks to our sponsor today, Echelon. Go to echelonfit.com/dragon to try any Echelon fitness equipment at home for 30 days. If you've already got an Echelon, you can support us directly and really have the time of your life by going to patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, and joining Barrett and I in our, some have called heroic quest to watch the entire Sopranos series together. HBO's classic crime drama, The Sopranos. Barrett has never watched it. He's a first-time viewer. I'm on my 6th or 7th or 8th viewing through. Nobody knows how many times.
We're through 4 episodes, and it's just been a lot of fun. I keep telling people about the journey that we're going on, and everybody's response is, you're doing the whole thing, doing 86.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're like, how many is that? And I'm like, 86. And they're like, 1 a week. And I'm like, yeah. And it's really it's not that crazy, man.
Dude, it's not at all. This is the most fun I've had doing our show since Game of Thrones was in its prime before they fucked it up.
And let me, here's what I want to say about it. Every episode, there is plenty to talk about.
Oh, dude, it is outrageous.
It's such a throwback, as well as being such a historical show, as well as having like a fast moving plot, as well as having like these great characters that we've only just begun to develop and explore. I mean, there's so much good shit to talk about and kind of discuss while watching one of the greatest shows of all time. So there's nothing not to like. And if you haven't heard us talk about the tiers with the new setup, the $5 tier, you miss out on some of the really fun perks, but you do get every single podcast episode that we record over there for Patreon.
Yes.
So if all you want is to ride along with the Sopranos rewatch and you don't care about anything else, it's only $5 a month to join.
Yeah, so be sure and help on patreon.com/oystersclamscockles.
A lot more fun than a Peacock subscription, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. If you love The Sopranos, if you've seen it before and you want to rewatch with us, if you've never seen it before and you want to watch with us, it's friendly to both, spoiler-free, phenomenal discussion with the first 4 episodes, all available already with full video as well. Like Barrett said, multiple tiers to choose from with a ton of different perks in each tier. The Crustacean Nation being the one that gets you every single Sopranos episode. But also access to the cord, which Barrett,
it's strong. Yeah,
it's very strong.
That's what I heard.
Patreon.com/oystersclamscockles for ad-free coverage of The Sopranos from season 1 through the entire series. Go now. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at oystersclamscockles. We are on Twitter at clams&cockles. We're on facebook.com/oystersclamscockles. Follow me, Ross Bolen, everywhere at WR Bolen, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at WRBOLEN, and listen to my other show, Mental Health Comedy. It's called the Ross Bolen Podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to OCC, and follow me or subscribe on twitch.tv/BossRoland for several hours of video game play each and every week. Mr. Dudley, what are your social mediums so we can follow you?
Follow me at Barrett Dudley on Instagram and Twitter. Man, I've been slow on Twitter. I really have not said anything on there. It is it's
I go in and out.
It's such a dumpster fire. Maybe 2021 will be brighter over there on that platform.
I just unfollowed all the badness.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty clean now.
But hit me up on Instagram at Barrett Dudley. Give me a follow and say what's up.
Say what's up. Say it. Y'all have a happy holidays. Enjoy your break if you get one, your friends and family, if you're lucky enough to be with them. Otherwise, be sure and find a way to enjoy regardless, and stay in touch with friends and family as much as you can.
If you're not seeing your family, go join the Patreon. Watch the first 4 episodes of The Sopranos and listen along to our companion podcast. We will be our family. And why do you think we call him Uncle Jackie when he's not actually our uncle? Because that's Dad's other family.
He's in Dad's other family,
right? So you can join our you can join our other family, all you members of the clan fam out there. That's all I have to say about that.
You need to do it now. Patreon.com/oystersclamscockles.
You do what you're told when you're told.
Exactly, Christopher. You'll do what you're told when you're told. Until our next helping. Gabagool!